In order to be happy and fulfilled in your life, you have to transcend society's paradigm. You have to stop seeing the world through what society thinks, what other people think. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly what that means. And if you haven't watched the previous videos in this series, make sure you do so because it will lay the foundation to this one right here. So let's get into the video. So now that you know sort of what a quarter life crisis is, what not to do, now let's look at how to actually see the world. And this video is about transcending society's paradigm. Because society will keep you stuck. If you just follow what the group is doing, it is bound to make you stuck. Pretty much 99% of people who come on these consultation calls with me that I did a while back that were struggling in their quarter life crisis, pretty much 99% of the time because of this. So you want to be paying attention to this video. So what we're going to cover, we're going to look at the old way of, going through life versus the new way of seeing the world and going through life, which I call the way of the rebel. And also we're going to look into becoming post-conventional in your moral development. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry, I'm going to explain to you. There are two ways of going about the world, right? Going about living life. There's the old way and there's the new way. So what is the old way? The old way of doing things that, that everyone else does is that, they're trying to look for the right degree or the right job for them, right? They're trying to fit themselves into a degree or a job, right? And they ask, what should I do? Should as in what is the right thing for me to do in society. They don't ask what they want, they ask what they should do out of obligation. And that's what everyone else does. That's what everyone does, unfortunately. They ask themselves, what should I do? What will make my parents happy? What will make me the most money? What should I do? As in, there's no other thing that you can do with your life, right? And the old way is, instead of, finding what you truly want out of life, you go talk to a career counselor when you can't find a job. You take medication without addressing the root cause, without taking action, right? A lot of people, when they feel depressed, they go see a doctor, they give them antidepressants, and that's all they do. So for example, me, when I was struggling through my burnout, my doctor pretty much asked me 5 to 10 minutes of questions, and then she prescribed me an antidepressant. She prescribed me Prozac right away. That's kind of scary how fast, people will rely on magic pills, and even society promotes the idea of, just instead of addressing the root cause, just take this pill, it'll help you. We're all about masking the symptoms, not getting at the root cause. So that's what most people do. The old way is about, instead of thinking for yourself, you just follow the path that everyone else has done, right? You follow the path laid out by society or by your parents. You do exactly what your parents tell you to do because, they know what's best for you, right? I mean, they're your parents. Come on, they know what's best for you, which obviously most parents don't. What people do also is making sure to please everyone and to make sure that nobody is left behind, right? And they follow the crowd because they don't want to stand out from the rest. In fear of being rejected and in fear of being judged, they want to be cool, they want to fit in, and they want to make sure that, whatever they choose as a career or whatever they do with their life, that it doesn't offend anyone. And they're trying to find confidence in self-worth in one's degree, job, title, or social standing in society. And you see that on social media everywhere, right? The old way is all about, everyone is bragging on social media, trying to show off, and they have all these fancy titles. So, administrator at whatever company thing. And you look at their Facebook, and actually, if you look down that path, it's just a random title they invented for their company that they didn't even start yet, right? It's like this, or whatever, or like they put like this impressive title at this job, while that might actually be a real job. It's really more from a place of insecurity and wanting, to show off where you are at in life, more than from like a genuine place. And that's what everyone freaking does. Everyone does it. So, and what most people do is that they talk about what they're going to achieve on social media instead of actually achieving it, instead of actually doing it. That's what most people will do. They'll talk about what they're going to do. They tell their friends about it, their family about it, and they're not actually going to do it. They're just going to talk about it. And everyone is a bunch of talk and no action. The old way of going about life is to get a job just to make money while you secretly hate it. There was a study published quite a few years ago. I think they might do it again, but apparently at least 80 to 90% of people hate their job. It's not even like dislike their job, it's hate their job. Meaning that 80 to 90% of people right now that walk down the street, people, you just go in downtown New York, downtown Montreal, whatever, you walk down the street, you see people, and every single person, like 9 out of 10 of these people, absolutely hate their job and they hate what they're doing. Now that's completely insane, right? Now, no wonder why, we're at a time of crisis now where, people having quarter life crisis, midlife crisis. I think it's always going to happen, especially in the way our society is set up. We're meant to be, we're meant to be miserable if everyone follows this path, right? They secretly hate their job, and what they do is they look for an escape. And because they hate their job so much, then their best time of the day for them is when they come back from their job and when they can, binge on Netflix, play video games, drink, party with their friends. That's like their highlight of their day, right? And that shouldn't be how you live your life. So that's the old way of doing things. Now let's look into the new way of doing things, the way of the rebel, the way that I teach all of my clients, and the way that will make you feel the most happy and fulfilled in your life. So the new way of doing things is that instead of trying to fit yourself into a career or a job, you look at what you're most passionate about and you make a career out of it, regardless of whether there's a path for it or not, right? If there's a path for it, great, you choose it, right? If it's easier, to go on that path and it totally goes with your values, right, then you just do it, right? If there's a path to become a doctor and you really want to become a doctor, it would be stupid to reinvent the wheel and trying to, be a doctor by yourself without going to school. That would make no sense, right? So, but you look at what you're most passionate about first, and if there isn't a path, you create your path. So me, I always wanted to become a superhero. I want to become a YouTube personality. I want to become a coach, a vigilante on the internet who gives advice and gets paid for it. And guess what? I made it freaking happen. So that's the way of the rebel. Also, instead of asking, what should I do? You ask, what do I want? What do I truly want? See, so instead of working from a place of should or as an obligation to do certain things in society, you look at what do you want as a person. Instead of trying to put a moralistic judgment on your actions, the moralistic judgment of society, you look at what you truly want first. You, instead of, trying to mask the symptoms, you address the root cause of your issues, right? Which is, the direction of your life, what you want out of life, what you want to do. This is the root cause of why you're feeling lost, confused in your life, maybe. And instead of looking for the quick fixes, you look at, the true root cause of things. The new way of going about life is to take massive action, take a lot of action towards your goals, towards what you want to do in life, and talking very little about it. Yes, you can talk about it, but you don't feel the need to brag about it on social media. You don't feel the need to talk about it to your friends, your family, whatever. You don't have to do that, right? Also, you don't care about what other people think or say. You don't give a shit about what they think about you. You don't give a shit about any sort of titles, degrees, that that these don't define you. You don't care about any of that. You live in accordance with your own values instead of blindly following society's values. You choose your own values. You choose what you want out of life instead of following what society wants you to do with your life. And you say no to the path laid out by society or your parents, and you say yes for your own path and thinking for yourself. You take care of your needs first instead of trying to please everyone and trying to take care of the needs of everyone else, right? So that includes your parents, your friends, family members, whatever. And you take care of yourself first, because how can you help others if you're not even feeling good yourself, right? This is so important. Okay, you guys need to get this, because I know that I got this so often on consultation calls that they want to do something, but it's going to make their parents mad, right? Especially if you're 17, 18, still sort of younger, you really care about what your parents think. And what's sadder is when it happens when you're all the way up to 25, 26, and you still care about the approval of your parents. And what I want to tell you is that love doesn't equate blind obedience, right? To love someone doesn't mean that you blindly obey everything that they tell you to do. In fact, true love could be that you disobey what they tell you to do, and you do it from a place of self-love because you love yourself. It's not because I disobey my parents that I don't love my parents, right? And you really have to understand that. Even if they disapprove, if they tell you they're going to kick you out of the house, you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with the fact that, what? They might not agree with me, and that's just what it is. You have to take care of your needs first, remember that. The new way of living life and going through life is to find confidence, core confidence and self-worth in oneself, independently of society's standards, right? So you find confidence in yourself, your self-worth in yourself, instead of trying to find confidence and self-worth in society, in the approval of your friends or approval of other people. You can find confidence within. And if you have trouble with that, don't worry. In the next upcoming weeks, we're going to look into that, right? But this is imperative that you realize. The new way is about also rejecting society's standards of success, right? The culture standards of success or whatever. It's not about having the biggest house, the highest income possible, or the highest paying job possible. None of that stuff. You reject that. The new way is to not compare yourself to others, to stop comparing yourself to others, and only compare yourself to who you were yesterday, instead of comparing yourself to what you think other people are doing or whatever you imagine in your head. And the new way is to become a rebel, an entrepreneur, a creator, a warrior, an artist, a reformer, a movement maker, an inventor, a healer, a spiritual guru, whatever you want to become, right? It is to become that. It is to create your own title. And the new way is to not be defined by any sort of titles, labels, degrees, career, whatever. None of these words mean anything to you. The new way is to see everyone as having equal value, no matter if you're a doctor, or if you're a YouTuber, or if you're a janitor, or if you're homeless. You see that everyone fundamentally has the same value, independently of what they do with their life, right? And as I said before, you have to think like a rebel. You have to think in a new way, because you can't solve a problem at the level it was created, like I said in the previous video. You must transcend society's views and start thinking for yourself, because only then will you find the answer to who you are, what you want out of life. You won't find the answer of who you are and what you want out of life out there. You're going to find it within, right? I hope that makes sense. And in the spiral dynamics theory, which is a developmental psychology model, there's sort of stages that you move through. And I think most people, they're stuck without getting too much into details. Most people are stuck at sort of the collective level of, what society wants for them and what family wants for them, which is useful to a certain point, but then eventually you want to level up to that, from that stage to the individualistic stage, where you start thinking for yourself, discovering your own needs and what you truly want out of life instead of what other people want, right? Which brings me to the next topic of this video, which is to become post-conventional. Now, what does that mean? Well, what being post-conventional means, first, this is taken from Lawrence Kohlberg's Stages of Moral Development, and basically what this is like 3 stages that you go in life as you develop your morality and your moral thinking. And what are the 3 stages? So the first stage is what it's called pre-conventional, before conventions, basically. And what it is, basically a stage where one has not yet adopted or internalized society's conventions regarding what is right or wrong, but instead focuses largely on external consequences that certain actions may bring. That's the first step where, basically you haven't assimilated, society's rules. Usually when you're really young, a child, or, even criminals are at this point, right? So they're really thinking egocentrically, like as in me, only my needs. And I think most people, they mistake that, if you start thinking for yourself, they think that you are, at this stage where you're basically stupid, dumb, and you break the rules just to break them, and because you can get away with it. That's not what we're trying to do here, right? That's the mistake that people make, and people at the societal level, they will point the finger at you and tell you, oh, you're trying to change, well, you're bad. And they're trying to point the finger at you because they think that you're actually becoming like a criminal or a bad person. Which brings me to the second stage of moral development, which is the conventional stage, which is, what I criticize the most, in this program, which is basically the societal paradigm. Basically, they say that it's conventional sort of in adolescents and adults. And the reason the conventional way is to judge the morality of actions by comparing them to society's views and expectations. Conventional morality is characterized by an acceptance of society's conventions concerning right and wrong. So basically, you accept society's rules and conventions. And at this level, an individual obeys rules and follows society's norms even when there are no consequences for obedience or disobedience. So this is basically following rules of society blindly. Adherence to rules and conventions is somewhat rigid, however, and a rule's appropriateness or fairness is seldom questioned. So you can already see how they can cause a massive problem, right? If you get stuck in the conventional stage and you just blindly agree to the rules that are fed to you, or the expectations that are fed to you, then this is what can happen, right? And the pressure is immense because 99% of people are at the conventional stage. Now let's talk about becoming post-conventional. All right, what is post-conventional morality? The post-conventional level, also known as the principled level, is marked by a growing realization that individuals are separate entities from society, and that the individual's own perspective may take precedence over society's views, right? So the individual, his point of view can override the point of view of society, the opinion of society. Individuals may disobey rules inconsistent with their own principles, right? So it's not because society tells you that something is wrong that it is wrong, right? If the rule doesn't make sense to you, and then if it's inconsistent with your own values and principles, then you can give yourself permission to disobey that rule, right? How crazy is that, right? And that doesn't make you bad, that doesn't make you wrong. Actually, that makes you a more developed, more intelligent, more smart person. So I give you permission. I give you permission to think for yourself, and start thinking for yourself. And that doesn't make you an asshole, that doesn't make you wrong. If you don't want to go to school, that doesn't make you an idiot. If you don't want to, have a traditional job or follow what your parents are telling you to do, that doesn't make you stupid. So think about that, be okay with thinking in a different way. What I see happening a lot in quarter life crisis is that people, they reach this point of crisis because the conventional way of thinking no longer works. They have to become post-conventional. And I don't think there's any way above it. So it's a great thing, when you have a crisis, because it gives you this opportunity to rise to a higher level of thinking. Just a quick word about if you're having an existential crisis, which is a bit different, more about a crisis about, the meaning of life. But I think it works a similar way. Because, if you have an existential crisis, you realize, oh, nothing has meaning, whatever society told me to do, that's meaningless, whatever. And, instead of buying into the societal view of what the meaning of life is or what you should do with your life, you have to become post-conventional and find your own meaning in life. your own individual meaning, even if it's meaningless, right? And it really becomes, and really changing your life, making a change, it really begins with individuality. Okay, it starts with finding your true identity, right? It starts with who you are, right? The problem with groupthink and following society is that groupthink strips you away of who you are, strips you away of your individuality, your autonomy. It removes sort of all your ability to govern yourself. And also groupthink unconsciously guilts you into staying, right? They sort of manipulate you into staying with them, because if you leave, there's going to be backlash in the group. They're gonna try to pull you back. You have to swing the pendulum the other side. That's what I like to say. So first you're thinking really maybe from the group, and now you have to risk being more selfish. You have to swing the pendulum the other side, and you think about what you truly want out of life, what you want to achieve, and don't be afraid to be selfish, quote unquote, because in your selfishness, that is the best thing you could do for society. Or the best thing you can do for society is to be selfish, in the sense that you take care of your needs first, so then you can take care of others. So in summary, forget the old way of doing things. Forget about, trying to fit yourself into a box of society, of a specific job or career, asking yourself what you should do, and, hating your job, and, trying to be like everybody else. Forget that and start thinking for yourself. Start asking yourself, what do I truly want out of life? If there's no path for it, you create your own path. You stop caring about what other people think. You stop, trying to fit yourself into the mold of society. You start really looking at your own values and what is meaningful to you, not what society deems to be meaningful. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video about transcending society's paradigm, then stay tuned for part 4, where we'll talk about long-term thinking and developing the mastery mindset. So I'll see you there. And in the meantime, you can check the free training below. That's going to be completely gone in a few weeks. So if it's still there, click on the link, and I'll see you on the training.